March 8, 2014. A Boeing 777 carrying 239 people takes off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Its destination, Beijing, China. For the passengers on board, it was supposed to be an ordinary overnight flight, but less than an hour later, the airplane vanished. No distress call, no emergency signal, no confirmed crash site. An aircraft the size of a football field disappeared from the skies, and the world watched in disbelief. To this day, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 remains one of the greatest mysteries in aviation history. How can a modern aircraft disappear in the age of satellites, radar, and global tracking systems? What really happened in the cockpit that night? Was it an accident, a deliberate act, or something far stranger? For years, investigators searched thousands of miles of ocean. Pieces of debris washed ashore on distant islands. Families waited desperately for answers. That never came. And even now, more than a decade later, the mystery remains unsolved. Tonight, we retrace the final known moments of Flight MH370. We examine the evidence, the theories, the unanswered questions, and the haunting silence left behind in the Indian Ocean. This is the story of the flight that disappeared. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was operated by a Boeing 777-200ER, one of the safest and most advanced commercial aircraft ever built. On board were 227 passengers and 12 crew members from 14 different countries. The captain was 53-year-old Zahari Ahmad Shah, a highly experienced pilot with over 18,000 hours of flight time. The co-pilot, Fariq Abdul Hamid, was just 27 years old and nearing the completion of his training. At 12:41 a.m. local time, MH370 departed Kuala Lumpur. Everything appeared normal. The aircraft climbed smoothly to cruising altitude, 35,000 feet above the ground. Passengers settled into their seats. Some watched movies. Others slept beneath dim cabin lights. Meanwhile, communication with air traffic control continued routinely. Then, at 1:19 a.m., the final known words from the cockpit were heard. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Those words would become some of the most chilling in aviation history. Less than 2 minutes later, the aircraft disappeared from civilian radar. At first, controllers assumed a technical issue had interrupted the signal, but as minutes passed, concern began to grow. Then came the shocking discovery. Military radar revealed MH370 had not simply vanished, it had turned around. The plane made a sharp westward turn, far away from its planned route to Beijing. And even stranger, the aircraft continued flying for hours. No emergency call was ever made. No hijacking code was entered. The transponder, the device identifying the aircraft to radar, had been manually switched off. Investigators realized something terrifying. Someone inside the aircraft may have deliberately hidden the plane. As dawn approached, MH370 disappeared into one of the most remote regions on Earth. the southern Indian Ocean. And then, nothing. No radar, no wreckage, no survivors, only silence. Within hours, a massive international search operation began. Countries across Asia deployed military aircraft, naval ships, satellites, and rescue teams. At first, search crews focused on the South China Sea, but investigators soon realized they had been looking in the wrong place. Satellite data revealed MH370 had continued sending faint, electronic signals, known as handshakes, for nearly 7 hours after disappearing from radar. This changed everything. The search zone shifted deep into the southern Indian Ocean, one of the most remote regions on Earth. The operation became one of the largest and most expensive searches in aviation history. More than 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor were scanned. Underwater drones descended into crushing depths, nearly 20,000 feet below the surface. But the Indian Ocean is brutal. Violent storms, towering waves, endless isolation. Months passed, then years, and still no airplane. Then finally, in July 2015, a breakthrough, a wing fragment, known as a flaperon, washed ashore on Reunion Island. Experts confirmed it belonged to MH370. Over time, more debris pieces appeared along African coastlines and remote islands. The ocean itself had slowly scattered fragments of the aircraft across thousands of miles. Yet the main wreckage remained missing. No black boxes, no cockpit recordings, no final answers. Only fragments, carried silently by the sea. For the families of the passengers, the uncertainty became unbearable. Many refused to believe their loved ones were gone. Some hoped the plane had landed somewhere secretly. Others demanded governments reveal hidden information. Conspiracy theories exploded online. But behind every theory were real people waiting for answers. Parents, children, spouses, all trapped in endless uncertainty. And perhaps the cruelest part of all, no one could explain why MH370 disappeared. As the years passed, countless theories emerged, some grounded in evidence, others drifting into speculation. But several key possibilities continue to dominate discussions today. Theory 1. Pilot suicide. This remains one of the most debated explanations. Investigators discovered Captain Zahari had built a sophisticated home flight simulator. Some recovered routes reportedly resembled paths toward the southern Indian Ocean. Supporters of this theory believe the captain intentionally diverted the aircraft and flew until fuel exhaustion. The deliberate disabling of communication systems appears consistent with this idea. But critics argue there was never a clear motive. Friends and family describe Zahari as calm, professional, and passionate about aviation. No suicide note was ever found, and investigators never conclusively proved intentional action. Theory 2. Hijacking. Could someone on board have taken control of the aircraft? Some speculate terrorists or hijackers forced the plane off course, but no group ever claimed responsibility. No demands were made, and no evidence of violence was discovered. The theory remains possible, but unsupported. Theory 3. Catastrophic failure. Another theory suggests a sudden onboard emergency incapacitated everyone on board. A fire, or rapid decompression, could have caused hypoxia, oxygen deprivation. In this scenario, the aircraft may have continued flying on autopilot until fuel ran out. Yet major questions remain. Why would communication systems fail in such a precise sequence? Why the dramatic turn? Some experts believe those actions required human control. Theory 4. Government cover-up. This theory exploded online. Some claim military forces accidentally shot down MH370 and concealed the truth. Others believe secret cargo on board made the aircraft a target. But despite years of investigation, no credible evidence has supported these claims. Still, the lack of answers continues to fuel suspicion. Perhaps the most unsettling truth is this: even after years of analysis, no single theory explains every piece of evidence. MH370 remains suspended between fact and mystery. A modern aviation ghost story. What happened during the final moments of MH370 may never be known, but investigators have reconstructed a possible ending. Satellite data suggests the aircraft flew south across the Indian Ocean for hours. Eventually, the fuel would have begun running low. One by one, the engines likely flamed out. Inside the cabin, darkness, silence, only the sound of rushing air, and the distant ocean below. Some experts believe the aircraft entered a rapid, uncontrolled descent. Others think someone remained conscious until the very end and attempted a controlled ditching. Without the black boxes, certainty is impossible. Somewhere beneath the Indian Ocean, the wreckage may still rest untouched, a silent tomb, nearly 4 kilometers underwater, and with it, the final answers. The disappearance of MH370 exposed major flaws in global aviation tracking systems. After the tragedy, airlines and regulators introduced new satellite tracking technologies designed to prevent another aircraft from ever vanishing again. But despite technological progress, the mystery itself remains unsolved. The ocean has kept its secrets. Flight MH370 was more than a mystery. It was 239 human lives, 239 stories, interrupted in the darkness. For the families left behind, the pain never truly ended. No grave, no final goodbye, only unanswered questions. In a world filled with technology, satellites, and constant connection, one airplane disappeared almost without a trace. And maybe that is what makes MH370 so haunting. Not just the mystery itself, but the reminder that even in the modern age, there are still places beyond our reach, still secrets hidden beneath the waves. Somewhere in the depths of the Indian Ocean, the truth may still be waiting. Until then, MH370 remains aviation's greatest unsolved mystery. How can a plane vanish in the age of satellites? Was it human error or something darker? Flight MH370 remains unsolved, and perhaps it always will. Do you believe the truth will ever be found? Or will MH370 remain the greatest mystery of modern aviation?